You're listening to The Jay Barker Show on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I think, you're always looking at what a team does technically, and it's always most interesting to see, what was their philosophy of what they did technically to, whether it was play defense against you or attack you offensively, or what they did on special teams. So I think you use that information as a history of maybe what you might see again, and other things that they did periodically, that changed. So I don't think you look back on the game from a psychological standpoint as much as you do a technical standpoint.
Nick Saban talking about the Texas Longhorns, 6 o'clock Saturday night, Bryant-Denny Stadium. The town's already lit. I can't imagine what it's going to be like when we get there Friday as we go to Innisfree and broadcast live. We will be doing that in just a couple of days. But matchup between Texas and Alabama, it's going to be a wild affair. I'm looking up what's the biggest concern, Lars. By the way, Lars, welcome to the show. I just jumped right in it. I'm pretty jacked up today. I've had 7 cups of coffee.
All right, let's roll. Let's roll, Tide, roll.
I'm just sipping on my second cup. But what's the biggest concern? I think it's quite obvious when it comes to Texas playing Alabama.
Yeah, it's Quinn Ewers. Absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The Longhorns are not going to beat Alabama on either the defensive line or offensive line. Alabama has a significant advantage up front, but Alabama doesn't have a quarterback like Quinn Ewers, and you remember how he lit up Alabama early last year. He was 9 of 12, then got knocked out of the game. Xavier Worthy, really terrific wide receiver who's back. He had 5 passes for 97 yards, and Alabama's really on its heels early in that game. And now the receiving core for Texas is even better. I think it's probably the second best receiving core in the country behind Ohio State. And it certainly is going to be the best core of receivers that Alabama is going to face all season. And, Middle Tennessee just wasn't a challenge to the Alabama defense. I mean, yeah, they held Middle Tennessee to 7 points, but it's nothing in comparison to Quinn Ewers. And that I don't even think they're going to try to run the ball very much. It's going to be pass, attack. And can the Alabama defense hold up in a way that they couldn't last year at the beginning of the game before Quinn Ewers got hurt? If Quinn Ewers doesn't get hurt, Texas wins that game, in my estimation.
But not with Colt McCoy. Okay, we're not going.
We will be talking about Colt McCoy a lot on Friday with a particular guest who had a particular interaction with Mr. McCoy.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. We're going to leave it at that and just let everybody hear it when they hear it. When I saw the Texas score against Rice, you kind of go, okay, it's a rather pedestrian win. Check the stats out. They absolutely dominated Rice. 24 first downs to 8, 458 yards to 176. I could go on. Ewers, maybe not as accurate as a lot of people would have wanted, but he was 19 of 30, 260 yards, 3 touchdowns. By the way, Lars, I in no way knew this answer, okay? I know it now, so I can ask it. Do you know who the starting quarterback was for Rice?
No.
JT Daniels.
He's still around. Oh, my goodness. That is unbelievable. What is that, like his 9th school?
I don't know. So I thought that guy was in Arena League, But,
oh, my goodness.
I mean, I'm going to have to go back and make sure that I didn't read that improperly, but I'll go back to the box score here. JT Daniels was 14 of 26, 149 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. So there it is.
It's amazing. I believe at one time he was the top ranked high school quarterback coming out in his class. And went to USC, and it seemed like, hey, this guy's going to win a Heisman Trophy at USC and be a high draft pick. And now he's hopscotched around the country. That's really incredible.
I don't know if this statistic is going to bear out Saturday night, because you just said you thought that they were going to pretty much throw the football. They did pass at, they passed 30, they rushed 39 times and passed 36. That's about as 50-50 as you can get. So I cut you off there. My apologies.
No, I was just going to say, I was on campus yesterday teaching, and just walking around, Bryant Denny, there is just so much going on already in preparation for Saturday. And I'm hearing whispers, and this certainly sounds like an exaggeration, that there's going to be 500,000 people in Tuscaloosa on Saturday. We need to get Walt Maddox on, and I'll text him in a little bit and see if we can get him on tomorrow, because it is a massive operation to get the city ready for this influx. I do know. I just can't believe that that's accurate. I can't believe that that's accurate. I do know 2011 in the game of the century, right? The 9-6 game that LSU beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa, that I believe it was 175,000 people came who didn't have tickets. And if it gets to 500,000, what Tuscaloosa is already 100,000, so that'd be 100,000 who live there, 100,000 in the stadium, and 300,000 outside of the stadium. That doesn't seem possible, but a few different people told me that is the estimate. And again, that seems a little overheated, a little exaggerated, a lot exaggerated, but we'll get Walt on just to see. But you can already, it's already apparent that, this game is unlike any other non-conference game in the Saban era. And it's interesting that Alabama and Texas, our journalism schools, have a collaboration between one another. Last year, Alabama sent several students down to Austin for the game, and they were able to cover it and kind of have a behind the scenes look of everything at UT. And now Texas is sending some journalists up to Alabama, and they are going to get a behind the scenes look as well, and write stories. And we're going to have one of those students join us here in just a few minutes. Her name is Anna Sophia Meyer. She reached out to me and interviewed me last night for a story that she's doing. And, she was just so incredibly articulate and insightful about Texas that I wanted to bring her on to just, share the temperature of the Texas student body and how they feel about this game, how they view Alabama. I think it'll be really interesting, Matt.
Well, I think the first question I'm going to have to ask her is, why didn't she leave Texas and come to Tuscaloosa? Come on now. Do you think there's anybody from Alabama in the same program? I mean, from Alabama at Texas?
I doubt it.
I doubt it too.
But it's a great program. It's a great, Dr. Andy Billings, good buddy of mine. He's the Alabama program sports communication director in the journalism school, and Andy really set this whole thing up, and it's just a great experience for the students. They get on on the set of game day, and just see how that works. I know they're going to meet with the different game day people, and they're getting sort of the VIP treatment of just being kind of shown what goes on behind the ropes, so to speak. So cool experience for them, and can't wait to talk to Sophia.
It's like Southeastern Conference exchange students.
Yeah. Excuse me, Anna Sophia. Can't wait to talk to her.
Good catch. What a wonderful conversation we will have with Anna Sophia Meyer from Houston, Texas. We will do that on the other side of this break as number 3 now, Alabama, will host number 11, Texas, this Saturday night. More to come on Big Noon Sports.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A mix of sun and clouds this afternoon. The chance of a few showers or strong thunderstorms through tonight. The high today 91, the low tonight 68. For tomorrow and Friday, the sky's sunny both days. Night is humid. The high tomorrow 89, the high Friday 87. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 89 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
This is the Big Noon Sports Network.
Justin Jones is the fine producer of this program at our flagship station, Tide 100.9 FM. Of course, we have affiliates in East Alabama as well. I'm Matt Coulter, along with Lars Anderson.
Joining us now is Anna Sophia Meyer, who is a third-year junior journalism and political communications student at the University of Texas, and she's minoring in sports media. And we talked last night for about an hour for a piece that she's working on. Anna Sophia, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me on.
So you did a terrific job in talking to me last night. Just give us a sense of what the students at Texas are thinking and how they're viewing this game at Alabama, and how much excitement is there on campus.
Yeah, there's so much excitement. This game has been really, really hyped up for, honestly, since last year. Everyone is rearing and ready to go. Everyone wants a rematch. I think everyone here at Texas really wants to show Bama what we're made of.
And tell us about what you are doing. It's a really cool collaboration, this program between Texas and Alabama in our respective journalism departments.
Yeah. So I'm lucky enough to be one of the 8 students, 4 from Texas, 4 from Alabama, to be selected in the second year of this home and home series between Texas and Alabama. This program was inspired by the 2018 announcement of the home and home series, and as far as we know, there's no other academic partnership between 2 schools besides this one between Texas and Alabama. So all of us 8 students were coming together. We're a team to cover this game, and the goal is just to really use this unique opportunity to highlight the really excellent academic programs in sports communication at both universities.
And my name is Matt Coulter. I'm Lars' partner. And
nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Anna Sophia?
Yeah, I go by Anna.
Okay.
Anna, great.
Anna, why the hell didn't you come to Tuscaloosa and go to journalism school? Were you ever, I think out of all the states in the United States, Texas has more out of state students in Tuscaloosa than any other. Of course, a lot of that may have to do with the fact that they're a pretty large state. But have you heard that?
Yes. There's so many students from Texas high schools everywhere that end up at Alabama. I think it has a little bit to do with the culture. Y'all have a little something going on there at Alabama.
What are you looking forward to most when you're coming to Tuscaloosa?
Honestly, just getting a really good feel for the fan environment. Obviously Texas football is really electric, but football means something different down there in Alabama. I've never really had that experience, and I'm really excited to get to talk to some super devoted Tide fans.
What is it? Just really quick. I'm sorry, Matt. I stepped on you there. I'm sorry. Just really quick. What is it? I'm going to ask you, the shoe's going to be on the other foot here. I'm going to ask you some of the questions you asked me last night. But what is it about Texas football that is unique? And, you know, what are some of the hallmark characteristics of the fan base and just why Texas fans are so similar to Alabama fans in their passion for the game?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with pride. Something that we talked a lot about was Alabama fan pride. Texas fans have, I would say, a similar sense of pride, but it's much more, it's a lot less optimistic, I would say. I see a lot of Texas fans have a healthy dose of pessimism in their pride for Texas football, just because we've had, some rough seasons trying to get back to where Texas was historically, but every single fan will talk so much about the glory days of Texas, and I think everyone just really wants to get us back to that place.
What is your sort of itinerary for covering the game? It's pretty unique.
Yeah, so we will be, like I said, flying into Birmingham on Thursday, and then I think we'll be in Tuscaloosa, running around, doing stuff, getting ready for the game all day Friday. I'm definitely planning on walking around all the tailgates and talking to as many fans as I can. Hopefully talk to some students, some other people there at Alabama who really, really know and understand the culture and the history and the significance of Alabama football. And then game time on Friday, I have photojournalist credentials with my teammate Katie. She's doing a photo essay to pair with the story that I'm producing from this experience. And I'm pretty sure we have credentials also at game day, at SEC Nation. And the thing that I'm most excited about is getting to meet Paul Feinbaum, though.
I could have gone all day without hearing that.
Oh, man. And what story are you working on? And what have you learned so far? Other than from, the nonsense I told you last night, what have you learned so far?
I think I've really learned about, college football is a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle for some people, and I think that's a really unique thing to have, and it's unique to buy in so hard on something that, college football doesn't need to exist, but it does, and we love it so much, and I love that people buy in so hard. I think I've really learned to expand my horizons and go after things that I never thought would be possible. I've been reaching out to so many people to talk to for the story, and everyone's been so nice. And so open, so excited to talk with me about this story. It's just such a surreal experience so far.
And what exactly is the piece? What is the focus again?
So the focus is essentially culture, and my definition of culture is the rituals, beliefs, behaviors, objects, and other characteristics common to the members of a particular group. And so I'm really focusing on those rituals and traditions, those things that make Alabama football and the fan base what it is. And obviously the same side for Texas, but because we're in Tuscaloosa, I'm really going to try to focus on the scene and capturing all of the cultures, all of the pride that's going to be really intersecting there in Tuscaloosa this weekend.
Hey, I want to talk about the game itself. What makes you think Texas can win this game?
I think it's that fire from last year. I think it's the rematch. Everyone's thirsty. Everyone's ready for it. Texas has a lot more to prove than Alabama this season, I would say. And I think that this is probably Texas's best opportunity to do that, especially coming into the SEC next year.
Do you ever see Arch Manning?
I have personally not seen him on campus, but that boy loses his student ID all the time. I'm seeing on Twitter pictures of his student ID like 3 different times, dropped down on campus.
That sounds like Eli. That sounds like Eli Manning.
Getting back to the actual game, what impresses you about the University of Alabama?
What doesn't impress me about the University of Alabama? Honestly, my favorite thing about watching Alabama football is just knowing that Nick Saban is truly someone that I admire so much. Me and Lars had a great conversation. He told me so many anecdotes about Nick Saban that I probably never would have heard if I hadn't gotten the opportunity to talk to him. And, I think that's Nick Saban. To me, this game really feels like a coaching matchup, and I think that's what it was last year too. And I'm really, really excited to see that.
Did you record the interview with Lars?
Anna, did you record the interview last night?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to give you my email address. I have to hear it.
But it's so interesting hearing Anna talk because just with such reverence for Nick Saban and Matt. Sometimes I think we're so close to Nick. We're so close to what's going on. Sometimes we lose track of the bigger picture and how he is viewed, not just in this state, but around the country and around the world, as not just one of the best coaches of all time, but one of the best leaders of all time.
I don't think there's any question about that. Anna, are they going to take care of you? Are they going to feed you? Are they going to take you to Dreamland? Are they going to? Are you going to stay at a nice hotel? Or are they going to put you in tents in the quad?
Yeah, Anna, you gotta sample the barbecue here, and you have to, maybe you can come back on and answer the definitive question: what is better, Texas barbecue or Bama barbecue?
Sounds great. I'm so excited to really experience all of the culture there. I know people are so devoted. Everything is Alabama down there, and I really never experienced anything like that. In Texas, we have so many other sports that people are really devoted to. Not having as much success in football, we don't tend to focus on that too much. So I'm so ecstatic to see all of this devotion to the religion of college football.
Great stuff, Anna. Safe travels.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Anna. And hopefully everybody will treat you really, really well, and I'm sure they will. Have a terrific weekend, and let's definitely reconnect once the game is over, and tell me how your piece went. All right, Matt, what do we got coming up here?
Well, I want to throw something at you. What happened to the Duke quarterback following the huge win over Clemson this past weekend? I thought it was really interesting and very much Duke. I've got that story, and of course we'll continue to talk about the matchup between the Longhorns and the Crimson Tide on the other side of this break as you listen to Big Noon Sports.
Laura Lee Thompson is known as the Bama Broker. She's a Tuscaloosa native, an Alabama graduate, and the only realtor in town with Wall Street experience. A skilled negotiator, Laura Lee knows how to buy low and sell high. And the Bama Broker isn't just going to show you houses. No, Laura Lee is going to educate you on the market, guide you to homes that fit your budget, and teach you how to sell your home for its maximum profit. Throughout the entire process, the Bama Broker will equip you with the tools you need to both buy a home and build financial wealth through home ownership. Trust me, the Bama Broker, who's as roll tide as houndstooth, will get you across the goal line. That's Laura Lee Thompson, the Bama Broker with Advantage Realty Group. You can reach her at 205-790-7229. Again, that's 205-790-7229. And you can also email her at lauralee@thebamabroker.com. That's Laura Lee @thebamabroker.com.
Covering SEC sports like kudzu on the roadside. This is Big Noon Sports.
Most of you just heard about Laura Lee Thompson, the Bama Broker, Advantage Realty Group. She may drop by and join us again this Friday afternoon as we broadcast our show noon to 2. Big Noon Sports from Innisfree, right there in Tuscaloosa. Last week we opened the season, and it was a fantastic time. We hope that you folks come by and join us. There'll be 500,000 people in town. Wow.
Maybe. Yeah. We're going to
make it like the third largest city in the South.
All right. I'm texting Mayor Maddox right now to see if we can get him on tomorrow.
I would guess on the low end, they'll probably be close to 100,000. Wouldn't you think? And I've got to rethink when I leave and when I drive back, when I go over to Tuscaloosa to do a post-game show.
Did you cover that 2011 LSU game?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, Lars, that's one of when you and I got to know each other a little bit better. You may not remember this. You will after I tell you. But, that game got so much media exposure. You said
it was the game of the century.
It was just incredible. And you and I did a remote broadcast from Eagle Point Golf Course.
Oh, that's right.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. What show was that? I came out.
It was when I was on the Zone.
Yeah, that's right.
I was doing like a midday show there or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Originally it was with Wimp, and then you came in, Carrie Estes came in, Hamp McWhorter would come in and disrupt everything. But it was a lot of fun, and that was a good show and a good station. If a couple of things hadn't gone wrong, you and I would still be there. But do you remember that? Because,
I do. I vividly remember that.
We talked that game so deep.
Yeah.
And both of us, I remember the Friday, it was a Friday that we were doing the show. Both of us agreed that Alabama had something LSU did not, and he'd be the difference, and that was Trent Richardson. And it didn't work out that way. But what a smash mouth slobber knocker that was.
Yeah, Alabama should have won that game. They had so many opportunities. And gosh, I ended up writing a long piece, and I can't remember who it was for. I think it was Bleacher Report.
Bleacher Report.
Yeah, and there's something like 57 future NFL players were in that game. And there's so much star power in the crowd. I'll find the piece and get the information. But LeBron James was there. It was just so many people, and just the eyes of the entire sporting world were on Tuscaloosa that night. And I think there's going to be a similar dynamic on Saturday in T-Town as well.
Riley Leonard, name you've probably picked up over the weekend. If not, make yourself familiar with him. He is the Duke quarterback and was a significant participant and contributor in their huge upset win, 28-7. They didn't just dance around it; they punched Clemson in the mouth. Clemson tried every way they possibly could to help them, and they did, but Duke still won the football game, and by many accounts, convincingly. Anyway, this young man is from Fairhope, Alabama, and he's the starting quarterback at Duke, and he had an assignment over the weekend that I guess was due on Monday, it being Labor Day and all, and he didn't finish it. So I think he tweeted his professor and asked him if he could have an extension on the time. You know what the professor said, Lars?
What was that?
No way, man. And then he cited a perfect example and another player that was in the same class, maybe more than one. He said, these guys did their prep work in advance, and they're handing in their assignments on time. No way, man.
Yeah, so the professor, I just see his name's Professor Taylor, and he's in Duke's Sanford School of Public Policy. He said in a video posted on Duke Media Social, "Hey Riley, great game last night, man. It was so exciting. Congratulations to you and all your teammates. But Wesley Williams, who's a Duke defensive end, and another lineman who are in the class, they said they prepared ahead and did it ahead of time. So why didn't the quarterback?" Oh, that's brilliant.
It is hard to argue with his logic. Quarterback,
and then he said, he finished it by saying, "So, no way, man, no extension."
Oh. All right, Lars. Given the same situation, how would you have reacted?
Oh man, I am such a softie. I probably would have given the extension, but I shouldn't, because deadlines are everything in journalism. Deadlines are more important in journalism than almost any other job, because if you don't meet the deadline, what happens? You'll lose your job. Yeah, you're gone. You're gone. And I'm happy to say I've never whiffed on a deadline in my career, with either a book or a magazine story. But I probably just cursed myself. But I probably would grant the extension. I've had several athletes before, and I try not to. It has to be an extraordinary circumstance to get an extension without it affecting your grade. And so, in this case, I probably wouldn't strike that. No, I wouldn't. This professor did the right thing, because if you can't treat athletes different than than non-athlete students, right? It's life. You need to.
Lars, come on, man. I know you.
You know your schedule.
Class.
You've spoken many times to my class.
I know how you treat your students, and I think you would have given the break to the young kid from Pelham that was a non-athlete, and then the star kid from Tarrant. I think you'd have gone both ways, and I wonder if maybe behind the scenes the guy doesn't say, "All right, I'm gonna cut you a little slack, but it's early in the season, and we're not putting this on Twitter." I just love how the professor responded. I mean, there's a reason he's teaching at Duke, right? There's a reason the kid's going to Duke.
yeah, exactly.
But that's a great story. Hey, we don't get involved with our listening audience enough, and we're making an effort as we appear in public, and then kind of give you a heads up to call us. I want to talk to the people, the fans, about the Alabama-Texas game. If you want to chime in on Jalen Milroe, please do. But go ahead and give us a call, 205-342-9904. I know it takes a little bit of an effort, but we're not bad guys. We're not going to berate you. Just give us a call. Let's talk some football. I mean, that's what this show is 98% about. So, again, it's 205-342-9904. I also wonder if it makes any difference, Lars, if you're just 2 weeks into the season, as far as what the professor decided there.
Yeah, it is. It's very early. I just don't know, what the exact assignment. It's very early. Yeah. True. But all right, you just mentioned Jalen Milroe. What are your expectations for him on Saturday, based upon what we've seen so far out of him this year? And then obviously the sample size is extremely limited against a inferior opponent.
I will tell you one thing about quarterbacks in Crimson, just in general. I know it's been a short week with Labor Day, but even talking among your friends and over breakfast or dinner or whatever, nobody's going, who's going to start quarterback for Alabama? And that's something we've been talking about for 8 months now. So I guess, first of all, he settled that. I want to see, and this is obvious, but that's for a reason. Want to see how he can do it against a much better defense, much better skilled defense. I don't know how much better Texas's defense is than it was a year ago. One has to assume that it is better, but I think there's a lot to just adjusting to the moment. And he did very well against the Blue Raiders. this is, as I've said, and I'll probably say it 8 more times this year, this is a Texas Longhorns, a program on the rise, a storied program, a program with Ricky Williams, and good grief, I could go on and on about their superstar players. They have one lined up behind center in Quinn Ewers. Can he capture the moment again under much more intense circumstances? And, you know, and against DBs that have got to be far more skilled than what he faced last Saturday night.
Yeah, and, you know, in going back to last year's game, neither you nor I were in Austin, but it seemed to me it was one of the most hostile environments that Alabama has played in recent memory. That was a huge home crowd advantage, and it seemed to discombobulate the offense in particular early in the game. And, you know, it was almost like, I think the noise level there just kind of, it not perplexed, but it kind of rattled Alabama, in the, first half of the game especially. It
really did, and I haven't seen that often. Have you?
No. That's because it was really striking. It was like, whoa, I haven't seen this ever. So hopefully for Alabama that the crowd turns the decibel level up to 11.
I don't normally share texts on air from others, but I have to share the one from Robbie Glenn. He just texted a minute ago, Lars might not have ever missed a deadline, but he sure has missed a tee time.
I was 3 freaking minutes late, Robbie.
Hey, if you're late, you're late. If you're late, the bus is in gear and you're late and you're left. He did call you 30 seconds after 8:30, right?
Yep, it was 30 seconds. You're late. You're late.
Hey, a great article that I read on AL.com this morning about players from Texas attending the University of Alabama, and something incredibly unique about them. It's coming up on Big Noon Sports. Also, dial us up. Let's talk a little Longhorns Crimson Tide. 205-342-9904.
On the next Inside the Locker Room with Coach Wimp Sanderson and Barry Sanderson.
Tune in on Thursday at 7:30. J.C. Sherbrooke will join us. In the second hour, we'll have Dad release the second Blue Plate special of the year, currently 1-0. We'll see if he can hit this week.
Inside the Locker Room, weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. on Tide 100.9 and Tide100.9.com.
Guess what? Securing the best mortgage possible requires a lender who has knowledge, is trustworthy, and treats customers like family. And no one is better at all of this than the mortgage miracle worker, Haley Sansing. Based right here in Tuscaloosa, Haley Sansing has spent decades working in the mortgage industry. With Haley, it's personal, holding your hand from contract to close. With Haley, it's about one thing, you. Call Haley on her cell, yes, her cell, 205-792-1813. That's 205-792-1813. Let Haley help you.
NLMS number 230376.
Hey, this is Reagan, owner of R&R Cigars, the Cigar Mansion in downtown Tuscaloosa, located at 2703 6th Street across from the Home 2 Suites. Come down to R&R and see why we're the ultimate cigar and bourbon experience. With over 165 bourbons and 5 private barrels, our selection of bourbon is unmatched. We have the best cocktails around and our cigar selection is legendary. Our lounge and service are world class. Come and experience the luxury of the mansion and see why it's a world-renowned cigar and spirits destination.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A mix of sun and clouds this afternoon. The chance of a few showers or strong thunderstorms through tonight. The high today 91, the low tonight 68. For tomorrow and Friday, the sky's sunny both days. Night is humid. The high tomorrow 89. The high Friday 87. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 90 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
The best sports talk in Alabama. This is Big Noon Sports.
Coulter, along with Lars Anderson. Hey, Justin, we have not addressed you yet today. How the heck are you?
I'm doing good. I'm
probably caught you off guard. I apologize.
You're fine. I'm doing good. I was just telling you all in the break that Lars Anderson. Well, one, I thought he would be doing jumping jacks and backflips because I saw that Joe Burrow is expected to practice or to play. So,
oh yeah, he's playing.
Yeah, and we all know that Lars is a nice guy. He'd give that extension on the homework. Come on.
I am. I'm a softie. I'm a softie with my students. I probably shouldn't be.
Is that why your classes just continue to grow?
Yes.
Grow.
That's why there's a wait list to get in because the students know. I don't know, Justin. Hopefully, there's not that word on the street that hey, take Lars's class. He's really easy.
No, there's not that word. I think it's a really good class, and I enjoyed it when I took it. I would have taken it even more though if I knew that that's how it was. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Well, I hear background fodder.
JD Zaza, who's also a former student of Lars, is.
Hey, get JD on. He's a.
I gotta ask.
How you doing, guys?
Hey, JD.
Hey, JD.
What'd you make?
What did JD got an A? I'm pretty sure. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
I took his class twice.
Yeah.
Did you flunk it the first time?
No, I took regular sports writing and advanced sports writing, both with Lars.
Lars, are these courses required for a degree?
No, they're electives, pretty much, right, JD?
I know that mine was required because I took it as a substitute.
Okay, yeah, it depends on what track you're on. It's somewhat complicated.
Well, I'm just curious. So, if a biochemistry major just needed to get a B, do you have any of those people wandering into your classroom?
No, it's really sort of everybody in the journalism and creative media department for the most part. Every once in a while, there will be somebody from another school, but it's I'd say 99% of the students are majoring in some aspect of journalism.
Wow. And you're teaching 2 courses this year, advanced and regular?
I teach 3 every semester, and this semester 2 of them are online and 1 is in person. So,
online.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know how interesting this is to people listening. I'll just ask one more question. Is that difficult, or is it easier because you don't have to drive?
It's a different dynamic. I prefer in-class sessions, where you can look the students in the eye and really sort of just talk about whatever is on your mind. Like last night, yesterday, I spoke for a long time about my personal view that there's a big relationship between music and writing. And how if you listen to music really closely, it can help your writing in the rhythm and the cadence and the beats and just you want your writing to be musical and lyrical and you get that if you can infuse it with some of the elements of really good music. And, of course I was referencing Pearl Jam, and I asked the students, like, one particular song, Release Me, for Pearl Jam. It's a song that I absolutely am obsessed with right now, because I just figured out what Release Me is really all about, and it's about releasing pain. And I asked them, hey, how many of you guys have heard Release Me? Just blank looks. Like, so,
that big a difference
yes.
in generation.
Yes.
And
you love music too, Matt. I mean, you understand. Wow. Do you agree that there is a correlation? Absolutely. I mean, I think even if you're, and that's what I was saying too, even if you want to go into broadcasting or radio, there's a pitch that you want to hit, right?
Oh, yeah. And I think this is true for a lot of people that end up in radio and television started in radio in some very, very small mom and pop owned station in a very small town. My town wasn't small, but I started at a gospel Christian radio station in Huntsville, Alabama. But you don't just immediately become a newscaster or a sportscaster. The first thing you're probably going to do is you're going to run Sunday morning tapes like I did. But once you get an actual chance to be on air, you're a disc jockey. And I tell you what, I didn't make a lot of money, but I had more fun being a disc jockey. And that was large in part due to music. And I know it was top 40 and we would play some songs over and over and over again, but it's very relatable between what you do as a sports writer. I would think, news writer, sportscaster, newscaster.
I mean, public speaking, right? Yeah. Like the best politicians, the best politicians, the best orators. There's an element of music to their speech pattern. And I was just thinking of Deion Sanders, his talk to his players in the locker room that kind of has gone viral over social media. It's just, man, he gets it, it's like, no. And it's like, you could almost put some music behind him. It's so powerful, the way he speaks.
Great idea. We'll turn all his post-game talks into rap music or soul music or whatever.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stray far from Tuscaloosa. Nick Saban has often made reference to conferences he's attended and to groups that he liked. And I'm right there with him. I love the Stones. I love the Eagles. And those are the two I think he's mentioned most prominently, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
And he goes to those concerts.
Yeah.
So, I don't know that he necessarily does anymore. He's probably got a man cave that can just reproduce live performance of No More Cloudy Days. So, anyway, that's music and the world of sports.
Well, yeah. So, and that's why circling back to the original point, that's why I like in-person class sessions, is because you can have just, extemporaneous discussions about different things. And it was just on my mind because I had just heard the song right before class, and I just wanted to share it with the students and hear what they thought about the correlation between music and writing and music and sports. I talked to Vince Carter. I did a long piece on Vince Carter a couple of years ago, and Vince, the way he plays basketball, it's like it's music to it's like a physical manifestation of music, and I think it's one reason why athletes are always listening to music before games. I mean, I really think this is a topic that could be explored in great depth, and it would be a great book to really dig into, again, this relationship between music and sports and writing and just how music, it impacts so many other aspects of our life. And, I don't really joke, but some of the other writers that my good friends who are, just absolutely excellent writers, it's like we always say, like, you can either hear the music or you can't. And that's almost the difference between a good writer and, say, a great writer. The great writers can hear the music. They hear the beats, and that's what breeds lyricism in writing. I believe that, again, and we could go on for a long time on this. Well,
especially the two of us, because we talk about this off here a lot too, and have played music for each other that the other was not real familiar with, and it lit up my world. Okay, back to AL.com, the quarterbacks in Texas. Okay, Craig Stevenson from AL.com wrote a very interesting article this morning about some of the bigger name and more successful players to come from Texas and play at Alabama. Well, I found this interesting. One will start at quarterback for Alabama. All right, that would be Jalen Milroe. One is now the highest paid player in the history of the NFL. Another Jalen Hurts. There's one more Jalen that's not a quarterback that is also in the NFL. The speedster, Jalen Waddle. So not only are they all very successful leaving Texas and coming to Alabama, but three of them are named Jalen. I thought that was worthy of about the 15 seconds that I dedicated to it. All right, coming up next, the voice of the Auburn Tigers, Andy Burcham on Big Noon Sports.
Laura Lee Thompson is known as the Bama Broker. She's a Tuscaloosa native, an Alabama graduate, and the only realtor in town with Wall Street experience. A skilled negotiator, Laura Lee knows how to buy low and sell high. And the Bama Broker isn't just going to show you houses. No, Laura Lee is going to educate you on the market, guide you to homes that fit your budget, and teach you how to sell your home for its maximum profit. Throughout the entire process, the Bama Broker will equip you with the tools you need to both buy a home and build financial wealth through home ownership. Trust me, the Bama Broker, who's as roll tide as houndstooth, will get you across the goal line. That's Laura Lee Thompson, the Bama Broker with Advantage Realty Group. You can reach her at 205-790-7229. Again, that's 205-790-7229. And you can also email her at lauralee@thebamabroker.com. That's Laura Lee @thebamabroker.com.
A Town Square Media Station. WTUG HD2 Northport. And W265CG Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9. And streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From T-Town to the Plains, this is Alabama's most in-depth analysis on the SEC. This is Big Noon Sports.
With Lars Anderson, Matt Coulter, our outstanding producer Justin Jones, and speaking of outstanding, voice of the Auburn Tigers, Andy Burcham is joining us. Andy, we hadn't talked so far this season. How are you, man?
Matt, I'm doing very, very well. Hope you are.
Oh, I mean, it's football season in the state of Alabama. If it cool off just a little bit more, we'll all be great. Lars and I talked about Auburn all week, Andy, and I was more than just a little impressed. I thought the way Hugh Freeze operated, the way he used his quarterbacks. I'm saying all this when I really just want to ask you, what was your grade?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would give it a solid B for the game. I think Auburn did what it wanted to do, did not show probably what it didn't want to show in the game, came out of the game relatively healthy, although the news just a few moments ago with regard to Austin Keys is not good at a linebacker spot that was already a bit thin. Looks like he's out for a while with the thumb. But other than that, I thought Auburn, played a rather efficient game, showed enough of its offense, probably not all of it. Did not have Jarquez Hunter available in the game. Don't know if he will be available this Saturday night at Cal or not at this point. But I thought it was a good debut, and perhaps more than anything else, just a fabulous atmosphere. Folks have been anticipating that ball game, that opportunity to see Hugh Freeze and this staff and this team in game one against UMass.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that atmosphere, the fact that it was the largest home crowd in Auburn history. And I know that there was an expansion, right? Seating capacity went up. But the fact that you had that against UMass, I mean, to me, it's almost equivalent to the A-Day game when Nick Saban first arrived, right? Like that record. And can you just... You're so good at painting pictures with words. Can you paint the picture of just the whole scene and the atmosphere?
Well, it is something that has been a point of emphasis in athletics since John Cohen was named the athletic director last year, and then he hired his staff. And then Hugh Freeze, of course, came aboard. And since that point, that first game, come home to the Plains, was the term used, and Red Hobart, who's Auburn's executive director for external affairs, or deputy AD for external affairs, just talked about he wanted to like that game to opening day in Major League Baseball. And I think they succeeded in that. That game was a sellout. Next week's game at home against Stanford is a sellout. The Ole Miss game's a sellout. Obviously, Georgia, Alabama are sellouts. The only two games that are not sellouts right now are Mississippi State and New Mexico State. And I guess depending on how Auburn's doing at those points, those could be sellouts as well. So it has been a point of emphasis for the program, for the athletic department, and Auburn folks have responded to what they have seen from Hugh Freeze and his staff and this program. Certainly from a recruiting standpoint, it appears to be headed in the right direction right now. So I think all of that is to say, and we had a really nice day. I mean, we caught a break on some weather. It was about 10 degrees cooler than it had been the previous Saturday, and all of that led to a terrific atmosphere and a crowd of over 88,000 for the first time ever at Jordan-Hare Stadium.
Andy Burcham, voice of the Auburn Tigers, is our guest. Andy, all the season openers that you've done there at Jordan-Hare, whether it's a home opener or a season opener, was the electricity more so than any you've had since you've been there? And we can go back before when you were doing play-by-play, and if so, how much?
It's hard to put a number on that, Matt, and the anticipation going into this season has certainly been, and I don't recall it being this high going into a season as we've seen this year. And I think it's, trying to put the last 2 years behind them, certainly. What Hugh Freeze has done from a recruiting standpoint, transforming a roster from last November to opening day, one. And then what he has started to do with the 2024 and 2025 classes. That all has gone into the fact that, and let me say this, I don't think you can minimize what the last month of last season did for the first part of this season, and what Carnell and his staff did in that interim phase for the last 4 games that last month of last season. Because to that point, it had been a very tough year for Auburn football. And for Auburn to go 2-2 in those last 4 games, and Carnell helped restore enthusiasm and hope, I think, and this staff and that team helped restore it. And then Hugh Freeze has taken it to another level coming into this season. I don't know if it was as good an opening day atmosphere as I've ever seen, but I think the lead up to it was certainly as good as I've ever seen here at Auburn.
Yeah, and speaking of the lead up to the game, okay, it's easy to make Brian Harsin into a punching bag, and we don't want to do that. But can you compare just the beginning of Hugh Freeze's tenure to the beginning of Harsin's tenure? Because you've had a front row seat to both of them.
Let me say, I mean, there was a lot of optimism in that year number one with Brian Harsin, and that team got off to a really good start. Let's not forget that team won in Baton Rouge for the first time since 1999, and had beaten Arkansas at Arkansas and had beaten Ole Miss. It had lost at Penn State, but otherwise was playing really well. And I don't know if it's that game or not that things changed, but that loss to Mississippi State when Auburn had such a large lead in the first half and then ended up losing. But that's the point, I think, when things started to go the opposite direction. And I thought that team had a great deal of optimism going into the season. But there's no question that this team is ready. This team, this program, this fan base was ready for what Hugh Freeze has been able to do, and his quick pace on offense, and the staff that he brought in, the players the former players that he retained on the staff, in Carnell Williams and Zach Etheridge, and bringing Marcus Davis back as the wide receivers coach. So there was just a lot going in, and there was just a great effort by Auburn. And you guys may have heard, and some folks may roll their eyes a little bit, but I truly believe that the alignment from Sanford Hall and Dr. Roberts, the president, and John Cohen, the athletic director, and Hugh Freeze, I mean, it's as good as it's been in a long, long time. I don't know when it's been this good, where everyone, and let me add the board of directors or the board of trustees into that mix as well. I'm not sure I can remember a time in the past. Perhaps you go back to the 80s when Coach Dye was football coach and athletic director, and everything seemed to be headed in the same direction. But I get that now, and it's been like that for quite some time. The last few months, certainly, since all these folks, relatively new folks, have been named to their positions.
Andy, did you make it a point to leave Jordan-Hare Stadium and get a glimpse of Toomer's Corner, or did you have a six-pack of Charmin underneath your arm and go participate? A great tradition in college football returned, and I think that's very, very cool.
Yeah, it's nice that they can really roll the Toomer's Oaks now. The Toomer's Oaks that were replanted several years ago, they now have deemed it safe for those trees to roll them. I did not make it. I never have made it to Toomer's Corner after a home football game. And it's just, there's too much that I'm doing. It's just too hard to try and get to Toomer's Corner. I was glad that Hugh Freeze and his family and athletic director John Cohen, in their first games together, were able to make it to Toomer's Corner. But that's something that typically I can't make it there after a home football game. I like if Auburn has won on the road and we're coming back into town, things have died down a little bit, I do like to drive by it and take a look after everyone has moved on and they're having a good time somewhere else. But no, I didn't make it to Toomer's Corner.
Okay, Andy, heading out to Cal. What's the travel schedule? And is this the longest road trip that you can remember? And just expectations for what will transpire out there in Berkeley?
Yeah, Auburn will leave tomorrow. So Auburn will leave a day earlier than typically. It would typically be heading out on Friday for a Saturday game. But with this game being on the West Coast, with this game being as late as it is, Hugh Freeze wanted to get out there a day early just to become acclimated to the West Coast, become acclimated to the time zone. They will leave tomorrow mid-afternoon and fly to Berkeley. From what I understand, it's a 5-hour flight. I don't know how long it took to get to Pasadena in 2014 for the national championship game that was held at the Rose Bowl, but that was a long trip. But yeah, this will be among the longest trips that Auburn has taken from a mileage standpoint. But they'll have all day Friday to meet. They're going to have a walkthrough practice, I think, at a junior college in the area, and then get ready and be ready for Cal on Saturday night, a 9:30 start. This will be the latest starting time for an Auburn football game in the history of the program.
Well, safe travels, Andy.
Guys, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I've never been to Berkeley, so I'm looking forward to get there.
It's going to be great.
Talk about the greatest cultural difference in the United States of America is Auburn, Alabama, to Berkeley, California. But, Andy, thank you. Appreciate it.
Y'all take care. Have a great day. Thank you.
Oh, you bet. Andy just does such a great job. And, man, he does baseball, basketball, and football. What a labor of love that must be. All right, I want to talk some ticket prices and something that might surprise you when we get back. It's Lars, Justin, and Matt on Big Noon Sports.
100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A mix of sun and clouds this afternoon. The chance of a few showers or strong thunderstorms through tonight. The high today 91, the low tonight 68. For tomorrow and Friday, the sky's sunny both days. Night is humid. The high tomorrow 89, the high Friday 87. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 91 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
From T-Town to the Plains, this is Alabama's most in-depth analysis on the SEC. This is Big Noon Sports.
It is indeed. Getting ready for Alabama and Texas Saturday night at 6 o'clock here at Bryant-Denny Stadium. And we initiate some phone calls here on this Wednesday afternoon at 205-342-9904. We go to Steve. Steve, what's on your mind today?
Huddled masses yearning to be me. How are you?
Okay. That's a good start.
Yeah, well, it always is. You know, it's tough being me. Lars, let me start with you a minute, partner.
You bet.
Do you ever intend on writing fiction, a novel? I've been wanting to ask you that for a long time.
I would like to. I want to. I may have something to announce as soon as tomorrow for a big book, but I'd like to write. I do want to get into fiction. I'd like to write this next book and then a memoir and then fiction. I really want to try it. Yes.
Well, you guys yesterday were talking about Jimmy Buffett, and he's just as iconic as they come. I got all his albums. I got most all of his books, his novels. And if you want to start reading some novels and escapism, start there.
What's your favorite Jimmy Buffett memory?
Well, I've been to see him like 6 times. So I remember the first time I went to see him. I think, where was it? It was in Mobile, as a matter of fact. I forget the location. And took I was with a friend, and we were so far away from the concert platform that by the time it got to us, it was a rumor. So we just kind of meandered through the crowd there, found and got 2 seats right next to you could feel the sweat, and that was probably a turning point in my Buffett career. It's been nice. It's been a great run. Great run.
And where was that again?
Mobile.
Okay. That's where, man, he loved the coast.
It was great. I'm still almost still a little bit in shock. I can't believe he's actually gone. Yeah. But it happens. Listen, wanted to get to you about this weekend. I don't have a lot to say about Miro. I think he did great, but it's like everybody else has been saying. It was one game, and it was Middle Tennessee. And I'm not trying to take anything away from him. I just don't think the curtain's come down, is up on him just yet. I was a little shocked that Buckner was the first man back, the next man back to come in. And I thought it'd be, the other guy.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to? Yeah. Me too.
This weekend, I'm a little conflicted. I'm a big Sarkisian fan, and not just because of his coaching prowess. He's obviously a tremendous play caller and probably will be a head coach as well. But I understand the demons that he's battled and the mountains that he has had to overcome. And I think I don't know if that's taken into consideration. It broke my heart when he went to Texas because I don't have much to the state of Texas. Hadn't in a long time. But I'm conflicted. I want Alabama to win clearly. If I live here, that's who I root for. But I also root for him. I want him to succeed.
I think there are a lot of people that feel that way, and he has said publicly how important Nick Saban's decision to bring him back under the Crimson Wing has meant to him. But I think you too, on the other side, you got to fear this a little bit. Man, this guy can call a game now.
That's what scares me. I have no confidence in Saturday at all. Not that I'm displeased. I haven't. What it's really the same thing second verse. It could be all over again, except the roles were reversed this time around.
How do you think the Alabama fan base feels? Do you think they share your nervousness about this game?
I think it's probably 50-50. You've got Alabama fans. They're the Alabama fans that do not believe in losing, that they'll ever lose. And then you have people like me that, because of so many unanswered questions coming into this season, there's still a little bit of trepidation. And Lars, I'm like you, Matt. I know you agree that Quentin Ewers is a pretty stinking good quarterback. Yeah. So I don't know that they'll be intimidated coming into Tuscaloosa. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I don't see that. I don't have to base it on. I just don't sense that.
That's a very interesting point. And
yeah, it's a really good point.
I would have to agree with you, wouldn't you, Lars?
Yeah, I mean, they learned last year that they can stand toe to toe with Alabama. I mean, there's Steve, we've talked so much about how. And we've all witnessed this. Alabama wins games often before kickoff because the other team is just so intimidated by Nick Saban, by the size of the players, by the environment. But Texas now understands that they can slug it out with Alabama, and they fully believe that they should have won the game last year, and they would have won the game last year if their quarterback hadn't gotten hurt. And frankly, I can't disagree with them on that. I think they would have. If Quinn Ewers doesn't go down, I think they win that game maybe by 10, 14 points. But and so this is going to be a confident Longhorn team coming in to Tuscaloosa. It is extremely hard to win coming into Bryant-Denny for the first time. I don't even know when the last time Texas was at Bryant-Denny Stadium.
I don't believe they've ever played there. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, I mean,
Steve,
certainly.
Do you remember?
I do not. I know I went. No, I have to answer your question. I don't remember. I believe I heard somebody say yes once, eons ago, maybe not quite that long ago, but I don't remember it. I went to the, what was it, the 1980-81 Cotton Bowl with Walter Lewis.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, I do. Alabama had every chance to win that game.
Yes, they did. And that was, I've always said there's no greater, there are no better fans that opposes Alabama than Penn State. Those are the best fans as an opposition. The Texas fans are just crap. Yeah, sorry.
You love the sport, but not the fans.
You know what? I gotta say, I have to agree here with Steve. I have been to Texas games as a fan, right? As a Nebraska fan, and just been treated horribly. And I hope Alabama fans show class, and I'm sure they will.
Too. I do too.
But I do not care for the average Texas fan, and that's just based on my own personal experience.
No. Well, I think as far as the Alabama team goes, I think if they themselves individually want to win every game, they're going to have to do it themselves. They don't have Bryce Young to carry them. They're going to have to, every player is going to have to do their part to win the game, to win the season, to go to Atlanta, to go to the playoffs. You know, there's nobody there to carry. So that's my last thought about that. But you know, guys, here's my problem. If you got one more minute, this I'm losing. I'm getting scared, guys. Caught me off the ledge. I'm an old guy. Look, I'm Matt Coulter old.
Wow.
Whoa. Okay. That is being written down right now as the phrase of the year.
Yeah. No, well, look, he and I go back to WTBC days. I was a listener. He and James Spann, Dave Baird, and whatnot. Yeah. But here's my problem, guys. Because I am of the age that I am, I have always been an Alabama fan. I wasn't necessarily born here, but I've lived here most of my life. And I didn't even go to school here, but still it's Alabama, and that's what I believe. But in as much as that, I am a college football fan. I will watch, or used to, but won't do it much anymore, stay up just to watch football as extended as I possibly could through the night, watching Pac-10, Pac-12 football. Comes on late. But everything that is going on now with the portal, with the NIL, and now with these I know it's a small thing, and like I said, I don't have a lot to fixate on other than this at this time of year. But the clock thing, who comes up with this stuff? In the absence of genuine leadership, who comes up with this stuff? You know, I was listening to somebody say, well, it makes the game shorter. Well, piss on that. I love college football. I want to watch college football. I don't care how long it takes. Let them play ball. Don't force their hand to speed things up. And I don't know. I'm just ranting. This is my soapbox right now. Do I make any sense at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot, except for that old part on me.
Matt, I'm one of your biggest fans, brother. Don't take it too personal.
It, Steve. No, I don't. I know what I am. I know what you get.
Yeah.
So.
I'm right there with you. But I just needed to throw that in there to see if I would just come off the ledge and just enjoy it, or do I see it going down an even darker rabbit hole? And I do.
I don't this weekend. I really don't. But Steve, call us again anytime. All right?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I appreciate your time, guys.
Yeah.
Good call.
One of the things I've wondered is because Texas fans like them, obnoxious, love them, not, whatever. They had a lot to say about particularly the first half of that football game in Austin. I mean, they were disruptive. Lars, can Alabama do that back?
I'd like to see it. Yeah. And I think fully capable of it. You know, again, I've been to the stadium in Austin, and it's not really conducive for a lot of crowd noise, because there's ways for the noise to escape. But and just as there is at Bryant-Denny, and like you've heard people say for years that Alabama fans sit on their hands too much, but I think they will be in full throat, full thunder on Saturday. I really do. This is a big game.
Let's hope so, because they could really, really make a difference. I got to get to my ticket question for you, Lars, and I will do that coming up on Big Noon Sports.
Built to win. Touchdown, Alabama! Built for championships.
Throws intercepted, Alabama.
Built by Bama.
Alabama is still Alabama.
Join us Saturday as the Crimson Tide welcome the Texas Longhorns to Tuscaloosa. Our coverage begins at 3 on your home for Alabama football.
Tide 100.9, presented by Birmingham Racecourse and Casino. I-459 exit 31. You can be a winner too.
More Big Noon Sports coming up.
Lars, you've got your choice. And, well, I know what you would say in answer to this question. I have to reword this. Colorado plays NU, okay? Mm-hmm. And Alabama plays Texas. Now, everyone here knows, I think, that you're a big red guy. You are from Lincoln.
Yes.
Which one of those games would you rather attend?
You're killing me.
I am. It's a tough question. Better pony up here, Cornhusker.
I'd go to Boulder. But
I mean, that's your team. Nobody's going to fault you for that.
Yeah, but you know what? Given the fact that, my kids, just the travel, I'm not a huge fan of travel anymore. You and I, we both spend so much time on the road. I spent 23 years on airplanes and airports and hotels.
Good thing you weren't on that flight that left Atlanta for Europe yesterday. Read about that?
Yeah, go ahead and tell that.
No, I'm not going to. It's just someone that lost control of their bowels and ran up and down the aisle. And they had to turn. Never mind. I'm sorry. That's not. This show may be full of a little bit of that. All right,
put.
Go back with your kids. With your kids.
Yeah, no, it's like my kids are here, and I don't like to really leave. I don't, unless it's going to be some great vacation. And I don't even like really taking vacations anymore because that's kind of been ruined. I like staycations, but all of it, when you travel again as much as we have, it's I literally now every time I'm driving to BHM, driving to over the airport, like I get like a queasiness because I don't want to get on another airplane. I mean, I've flown, I don't know, millions and millions of miles, but I think it's going to be a better atmosphere in Tuscaloosa. And again, I'm efforting to get Walt Maddox on to get his assessment of how many fans are going to be flooding into the city on Saturday. I think we'll get a good sense of that too on Friday, Matt, when we are doing our show from Innisfree in Tuscaloosa. And it'd be great for everybody come and join us and hang out. So yeah, we're going to hopefully have Walt on here soon. But also, we touched on this briefly yesterday, but I really want to get your opinion. And that was the fact that, Alabama was really agitated with Texas officials last season because they put the Alabama fans in the upper deck. And Alabama was so, ticked off by this that the $1 million ban didn't even make the trip because Texas was going to put them in the upper deck, which I thought was just really inappropriate and disrespectful. But you look at the initial contract that was signed between the two, it specified how many tickets you give out, and it's 5,000, but it didn't specify where the fans could sit. And so what did Texas do? They stuck Alabama fans in the nosebleed seats, keeping them away from the lower bowl. So therefore, you had all Texas fans in the lower bowl, which I think contributed to the crowd noise being so loud, and it contributed to the home field advantage being so pronounced and contributed to Alabama's early struggles. I mean, really, I mean, I think you can draw a correlation here, draw a line. But so turns out, guess what? Alabama keeps receipts, as Deion Sanders would like to say. So the contract between both schools is not regulated by the SEC, right? If it was regulated by the SEC, then 2,000 of the tickets, 2,000 of the 5,000 that are allotted have to be in the lower bowl. And so Texas took this opportunity to give a metaphorical middle finger to Alabama and put them, again, up in the nosebleeds. Well, guess what? Texas fans are going to have a great view of the flyover on Saturday. They're going to have a really, really good view. It's going to be their best view of the entire game. And you know what? And Greg Byrne, he told Nick Kelly of the Tuscaloosa News, and Nick does a great job, I think. The Tuscaloosa News is lucky to have him, that, hey, we're going to show Texas the same kind of hospitality they showed us last year. And his quote in the story was, "We are able to reciprocate a similar seating arrangement to what we had last year in Austin." And the thing is, Texas has pulled this BS before. They did it with LSU in 2019 when they put the LSU band like literally way up in the nosebleeds. And that was the night that Joe Burrow kind of emerged onto the national scene, if you remember that game in Austin, and LSU won the game and went on to win the national championship. And so now this means that, again, all 5,000 Texas fans, and certainly there'll be a lot more than that in town on Sunday or on Saturday, but they're going to have a really good view of the flyover. And that is Alabama's welcome to Tuscaloosa, Texas.
Do you really want to tug on Superman's cape as you enter into the Southeastern Conference?
No.
You know, the other people have been brothers for a long time. I would think Oklahoma and Texas would be better fit or suited to come in kind of under the radar. But you know what? That's never been the Texas way.
The thing is, no, it's not.
Or football.
And I'm telling you,
everything's bigger and everything's better in Texas.
This is the crap you're going to get with Texas moving forward. I'm warning everybody. Nebraska, as a Nebraska person, we had to deal with this in the Big 12. It's a big reason why Nebraska left the Big 12 for the Big 10, because Texas was just so whiny and bitchy about everything. And, you know, adios, Texas. And I have strong feelings about Texas, obviously.
Obviously, and so did Steve and many others. Okay,
but the thing is, can I say really quick?
Yeah.
It's not kids who made this decision. It's the adults. It's the grown-ups in the room that did this nonsense. And that is Texas.
In a long run. All right. Here's the question. And it's not nearly as interesting what you just brought forward about the ticket situation. But which ticket is more expensive, Boulder or Tuscaloosa?
I'm guessing Boulder.
It is. But Boulder seats 30,000 less than Bryant-Denny. But it's by kind of a wide margin. Okay.
What is it? Do you have the average?
You can get one for $400 at Boulder and for like $250 at Alabama. Now that is walk in the gate, and you're lucky if you can sit with the Texas band. You know, I think that is just. I imagine 50-yard line seats are going $2,000. Hey, we'll talk about that a little bit more on the other side of the break as we wrap up the Wednesday edition of Big Noon Sports.
Weekday mornings at 6 a.m. The Martin Houston Show.
Join us on Thursday as we keep the conversation rolling for Bama, Texas 2.0. We'll have Max Recruiting joining us Will the Texas-Alabama game impact recruiting, as Alabama has several guys from Texas? Also, we'll continue to look into the keys to victory and start looking at the players of the game.
Catch the Martin Houston Show from 6 to 7 weekday mornings on Tide 100.9.
Texting enrolls you in recurring. Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A mix of sun and clouds this afternoon. The chance of a few showers or strong thunderstorms through tonight. The high today 91, the low tonight 68. For tomorrow and Friday, the sky's sunny both days. Night is humid. The high tomorrow 89, the high Friday 87. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 92 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
This is the Big Noon Sports Network.
Indeed it is. Thanks to Anna Sophia Meyer, Texas student, headed to Alabama this weekend on a special assignment in the School of Journalism, which both Alabama and Texas participate in. Pretty cool story. Also Andy Burcham. And I feel like I ought to call Andy back because I forgot one of the most important questions, and that's how it was working with Jason Campbell and Will Herring as opposed to Stan White. But we'll get to that maybe next week. I'm not a big Texas fan, Lars, as you just explained. You are not either. And I'm going to tell you why real quickly. The other game of the century, or one of the 15 other games of the century, was in 1969 in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Now, you were not even with us at that time, Lars, but I'm sure you've read about it. But Arkansas
was that the
Texas.
President Nixon there?
Yes, Nixon was there, and it was a slugfest. But Texas managed. They had a quarterback that scrambled, Steve something, and they beat my Razorbacks, and I have hated them ever since. So, and that's back in the great Southwest Conference days, when they had 7 teams from Texas and 1 team from Arkansas to make up the Southwestern Conference complement of 8. But I remember watching that game. I think I even cried. Because back then, Arkansas was my team. Alabama was not really on the radar because that's where my dad went. That's where I was born. Since having grown up in the state now, and gone to the University of Alabama, I've changed a little, but there's no question who my second is. But so you can add me to the lengthy list of people that don't care for the Longhorns.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we'll dig into this more, the rest of the week of why everyone should hate Texas, but and I hate saying that, but it's
the way you feel.
That's the way I feel. Yeah. Another thing I feel strongly about is I think LSU's in trouble. And I say this because not just the fact that Florida State spanked them in the second half, in really what was billed to be the game of the first week of college football. But I've gone back and I've looked at this a bunch of times, and the play where Jaden Daniels, just the quarterback for LSU, it's a 1st and 10. And it's at the end of the first quarter, near the end of the first quarter, scores 7-7, and he just he runs up the middle, and just like at the line of scrimmage, he jumps up, and then
15 clocked him,
body slams him.
Yes,
body slams him, and you know what? This is what's really concerning about it. Not one LSU player took umbrage to what that guy of 15 did to their star quarterback. There was no pushing and shoving, no punches thrown. Like, man, if you do that to our quarterback, because it was a borderline dirty hit, right? Not a dirty hit, but it was
legal in my opinion, but it was.
Yeah. But don't you think if you're an offensive lineman, man, you don't take that crap. You defend your quarterback at all costs, even if it was a legal hit. And to me, that is really concerning because where's the energy? Where's the fight? As Deion Sanders, like, where's the dog? Right? Like,
you remember he got all hacked off because his team didn't do it in practice.
Yeah. And you just can't let that go sort of unnoticed, right? You gotta show a little spirit. And to me, that reveals potentially, as someone who's, I'm not obviously there day in and day out, but this is a team that maybe has some chemistry issues. Is there something going on between the quarterback and the rest of the team? It just, the more I thought about it, I was like, man, I mean, you think and it was a dumb play by Daniels. I mean, I get it. He's just trying to make a play. He's trying, but you're not going to survive long if you expose yourself the way he did, because he absolutely
the down and distance didn't even warrant the play.
No, it didn't. It was just not a smart football play by him. And just also for self-preservation, it wasn't a smart play. But again, I'm just surprised that none of the other 10 guys on that offense, like, just got in the face of FSU and really, stood up for their quarterback. It was a bad look. And also, I didn't like Brian Kelly's demeanor on the sideline. Like, something just seemed off. Like, he had this, you know what I want to use here, but this, like, it's like, oh my God, what's happening? Look on my face.
That's not good for a coach.
No, it was just like a look of confusion and bewilderment. And it looked like a guy who had no answers. And you know what? He was a guy who didn't have any answers.
Tomahawked him.
I don't know. Am I overanalyzing this?
I don't know. When you mentioned that, I started looking immediately at the LSU schedule. And, man, this is not the most difficult schedule in the nation. They've got Grambling at Mississippi State. They should win that. They get Arkansas at home. Being at home will probably be the difference there. At Ole Miss, at Missouri. Then they host Auburn. I think the schedule lends itself to being able to put some salve on the wounds and maybe turn back into the team that we expected to contend for the West. That being said, ask me in a couple of games and we'll see. But I was surprised by a lot of things that happened this past weekend, and that was certainly in my top 5. Whose wouldn't it be? But the Clemson deal, of course, the TCU, Colorado went in there, and also needed to bring up another one that we hadn't this week. Did Texas Tech lose?
I didn't.
They lost to like a regional school, I think. I'm having to look it up real quick. Still trying to look up, and
about Clemson. I again don't want to overreact, but does that loss to Duke, is this a signal that Clemson is absolutely like fallen a level down from where they were? I thought Clemson, and we talked about this before the season, I thought Clemson was going to be a team that would make it to the college football playoffs. But now you have what transpired this weekend combined with the poor play last year. And so is this a program-wide problem, the fact that it's slipped, it's gone down a notch? And I think we talked about this on our podcast. If you just compare what Clemson is going through now and you look at Alabama, even when Alabama's not winning national championships under Nick Saban, they're still in the conversation,
Yeah.
every year in and year out. They're still just right there. And I think Clemson is teetering on a sort of fallen on their face kind of season. But we'll see.
They'll have a tough time with Florida State, I'll tell you that now. Now, Wyoming did beat Texas Tech in overtime. 35-33, I believe, was the final, which seems odd for overtime. Somebody had to go to, I guess. And you know who they've got next? Oregon. So
but Oregon just put up, 81?
81.
Yeah.
Yep. Bo, I don't know if Bo even saw the second half. Anyway, interesting show. Before we let you out of here, Friday afternoon, Lars and I are going to be doing Big Noon Sports Menace free. But then we may just have to take a stroll a little further into Tuscaloosa City and go see Reagan at R&R, because you want to smoke and a bourbon. That's the place to go. And sit out on their new patio / porch. And it doesn't have to be bourbon. They got all kinds of beers. They got all kinds of drinks, whatever you possibly want. But they do have the greatest cigar selection that I've seen. I don't know if I've seen any place in other parts of Birmingham they're that good. Hey, we got to get out of here, Lars. Let's do it again tomorrow. We'll be back in 22 hours.
Guess what, Bama fans?